diseases are everywhere, and epidemics and pandemics can wreak havoc on a global scale. From AIDS to SARS to H1N1, no one is immune to the possible effects of these diseases. They can strike any age, gender, income level, as well as most remote or most populated parts of the world. Pandemics like the Spanish flu and the Black Plague infected and killed millions of people and decimated the world populations in past centuries. But with the invention of new vaccines, ever-changing technology, and acquired knowledge of how disease is spread, we have been able to curb the deadly effects of many diseases. Thanks to the invention of these vaccines, we have been able to eradicate smallpox completely, saving approximately 5 million lives annually. If all areas of the globe were to use the vaccines that we currently have available to us, we would be close to wiping out polio and measles as well. Vaccines have allowed us to bring 7 deadly viruses under control. These include smallpox, tetanus, diphtheria, whooping cough, yellow fever, measles, and polio. Scientists known as epidemiologists have played a major role in this disease control. Epidemiology is the study of the distribution, identification, and nature of health and disease, and epidemiologists study health and disease in a population rather than on an individual basis. There are 2 types of epidemiologists, clinical and research. Research epidemiologists primarily conduct research on disease and often focus on localized infections affecting specific parts of the body. They evaluate the incidence of disease all over the world and will sometimes perform consulting services to governmental agencies where the disease is prevalent. Many work in labs and for the CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control. Other research epidemiologists find work as faculty at colleges and universities. Clinical epidemiologists, on the other hand, primarily work in hospitals where they inform medical staff of outbreaks and come up with containment solutions for such outbreaks. They study the diseases and find ways to control them. They will also often develop guidelines for the control and treatment of disease outbreaks. Someone who is educated in the field of epidemiology can work in either the role of research or clinical, and it is usually a personal preference as to which field the individual chooses. The work hours for the position would be dependent on many factors, including what type of disease is being studied. If there's an ongoing disease outbreak, it would most likely require individuals to work more than the customary 40 hours a week. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the median wage salary for epidemiologists in 2008 was $61,400 annually. Within the clinical and research fields of epidemiology, there are also different specialties, such as infectious, environmental, social, and genetic, which all focus on different aspects and types of disease. Infectious epidemiology focuses on the control of communicable and infectious diseases. They try to stop the spread of disease by hunting for the causes of the disease that affect people and then finding a way to contain that disease and minimize the effects on the mass population. Environmental epidemiology focuses on environmental factors such as pollution that can affect human health. Genetic epidemiology is the study of inheritable and genetic diseases, such as sickle cell anemia, hemophilia, and birth defects. Whereas social epidemiology is the study of the socioeconomic factors that affect the health of the population. The type of person who would enjoy this type of position would be someone that is good with statistics and enjoys learning new technology. Most of the satisfaction that comes from the job will be the knowledge that you are helping to save lives, making sick individuals well again, and trying to find ways to stop people from becoming ill in the first place. People who enjoy traveling to all different parts of the world and meeting people from other cultures will also enjoy the type of work, as a lot of times epidemiologists are hands-on in the particular environment where the outbreak is occurring, which could end up being a remote village in Africa or a highly populated city in India. A master's degree in epidemiology or one in public health, considered the MPH, will usually get you into an entry-level position in the field, but a doctorate in epidemiology or a closely related field is preferable and sometimes a requirement depending on which agency you choose to work for. Epidemiologists must be critical thinkers and have excellent verbal and oral communication skills. Organizational and comprehension skills are essential to this field, and the ability to work hands-on in the environment is required. Computer skills and a strong background in both math and the sciences is a necessity, as epidemiologists will be working with statistics and lab equipment as part of their everyday work. Becoming fluent in foreign languages could also be helpful in this position, especially if the individual is considering working overseas. Due to the shortage of qualified workers, epidemiologists can expect excellent opportunities, with a higher competition level for research epidemiologist jobs as opposed to clinical. Though there is a faster than average employment growth projected for this position, a recession could negatively influence the availability of funds for new research, especially in innovative medical research. This could adversely affect the renewal of existing research projects and the creation of new ones, which could limit the number of new epidemiologists hired in the future. Though relocation is not necessarily a requirement, it could certainly impact the ability for someone to gain employment in the field, depending on where the highest demand for the qualified workers happens to be at the time that they're applying. People think the major focus on infectious disease and outbreaks is the main source for the epidemiologist, but the field spans a much broader scope of disease as a whole. As I stated previously, epidemiologists do study diseases such as cancer and heart disease, as well as other genetic diseases. They also study airborne, waterborne diseases, or diseases transmitted via body fluids such as AIDS. Epidemiologists have more opportunities within the field of medicine and disease than someone outside the field might be aware of. It may also be surprising to know that epidemiologists do not strictly focus on human disease, but also animal diseases as well, including fish and reptiles. There are also two types of epidemiologists within the scope of the field, one considered retrospective and the other prospective. Retrospective focuses on events that have happened in the past, and prospective are focused on events happening in the future. As technology expands and medical knowledge increases, the role of the epidemiologist will become more important. It is within our abilities to possibly eradicate the diseases that affect us every day, such as cancer and influenza, like we did with smallpox in the past. Epidemics of disease such as measles, mumps, polio, and even chickenpox have become increasingly less of a threat to society because of the research that has been done in the vaccines that have been created. If we continue to grow our knowledge base and epidemiologists continue to research the possible causes of the diseases that affect us, they may be able to come up with a vaccine or containment plan that could essentially wipe the disease off the map. Only the help of clinical and research epidemiology will be able to realize a future with less disease. Any questions?